Still going in chapter 10. We're going to pick up with James Brown, the Godfather of Soul. I could have chosen so many amazing things to listen to by James Brown. I absolutely love him. He is so awesome. He is really, what I like about him is he was never restrained. He always totally unrestrained in every part of his life. And, could very well have definitely caused him some problems. He did go to jail in the 80s, for drug use. But, he definitely lived his life full on, was kind of one of the champions of Black Pride and, what they call a pioneer of rap style. But some of his riffs and kind of the crazy vocalizations he, had in his music, inspired later artists that later became known as rap artists. Very well known for his live performance and the way that he danced and his kind of this general charisma. He always had a great backup band with a lot of brass. It almost was kind of like a big band, except it's gone crazy and now it's in the style of R&B. But let's check out this really awesome performance of him in his young years. This is in the 1960s. Here he comes. Check him out. This might be where Michael Jackson got some of his moves. So you can hear in the background, hear the same riffs being played over and over again. Hear the saxophone. So that's really his trademark, is this repetition of the same ideas over and over again. But it works for him. It's not boring. He's such a showman, it's awesome. So, James Brown, I'd love to just listen to the whole thing and not talk over it. He's absolutely amazing. So go check out some more of his music. If you don't know James Brown, he is a great guy to discover because he was so influential to later Black artists. Really amazing guy. Of course, we got to go to Aretha Franklin before we leave R&B in this era. If he is the godfather of soul, she is the queen of soul. She is a gospel singer. Originally was let go from her first contract because she was asked to record 10 Pan Alley songs. It failed to draw interest, and we know why, because that doesn't suit her life purpose at all. She was really meant to be this amazing, loud, and proud singer. And when she teamed with Stax and Atlantic, she got some gospel, she got some R&B hits, and 1967 to 1972 were her most productive years. And maybe the other thing you don't know about her, because you don't see it happen very often, she was actually an amazing keyboard player, piano player. So, but she became known for, of course, female empowerment, because her voice and her, what she has to say is so strong. So let's listen to a little bit of Aretha. This is a really fast tempo, but it really shows off her energy. is so hard to stop listening to her. She's absolutely mesmerizing. Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, absolutely amazing. But can't stay here all day. Got to move on to other stuff. So we're going to completely move out of that and talk about Bob Dylan. Complete turnaround from what we just heard. Urban folk music. So, urban folk music defined as music of the common people, expressing the feelings of the people of a particular region. Lyrics hold more significance than the music, and I must agree with that because Bob Dylan's voice is certainly nothing special, but he managed to create a musical empire out of speaking for the little guy. So, the interest in folk music, it says here in your bullet points that it grew because of the maturing of rock and roll fans from the 1950s, and offering, I think, a more serious look at society was really relevant in the 1960s with all the changes that were going on. So Bob Dylan is kind of the champion of this movement. There's a lot of other people. Peter, Paul, and Mary comes to mind. But there's a lot of other artists in this particular genre, but Bob Dylan is kind of the one that is at the top, so that's who we're going to talk about. He was recently given a Nobel Prize. Of course, he never even acknowledged that he received it, which would be just like Bob Dylan. But actually, this is wrong. I looked this up, and I need to take this out of my notes. He did not take his stage name from Dylan Thomas. He said that was a misnomer, and he just picked it up because he liked the name. So I really should take that out. But anyway, that came out of his own mouth. But he originally started out as a songwriter, not a song singer. And the other thing, he did eventually, of course, start singing his own songs. And the other thing that he did was he pioneered the electric band movement. And at first it was terrible. People hated it. But then suddenly people changed their minds. So like it says here, it was all right for rock and roll to be adult. So it kind of brought in the trickle-down effect of rock and roll, or rock, some of this, the electric stuff that was going on at the time, and kind of urbanized urban folk music. The other thing that was interesting here is Like a Rolling Stone became much longer than the typical 3 or 4 minutes that you would expect to see on a record. So with the longer music, it kind of gave it a weight that you wouldn't have expected from earlier music. So let's listen to a little bit of Bob Dylan. How many roads must a man walk? I blew that. Let me try that again. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? Yes, and how many seas must a white dove see before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they fall out of the van? The answer, my friend, is a blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. So this is probably very familiar to you. Bob Dylan, of course, our most famous poet-singer from the 1960s. And then finally, within the genre of urban folk, I wanted to show you the crossover between, or the transition from acoustic to electric instruments. And this actually happened to Simon & Garfunkel. They originally put out a single called Sound of Silence that was acoustic, and their producers changed the background without them knowing. They actually put the album out without their permission. Simon & Garfunkel they became okay with it because it made him a huge star, but they originally recorded it as an acoustic song. So let's listen to a little bit of that and then a little bit of the electric that you might actually know better, because that was actually what was released as a hit.
In restless dreams I walked alone, down the streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light. Split the night, touch the sound of silence.
Okay, I started with the wrong one. That's the electric version, but you can hear the electric guitar in there, and it's very prominent. Let's listen to the original.
Restless dreams I walked alone,
very different sound.
Narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light. Split the night and touch the sound of silence.
So you can hear, this sounds so much more intimate, whereas the electric version has a much kind of a larger, bigger feel to it. But it's impossible to not think of Simon and Garfunkel as kind of the ultimate urban folk people, along with Bob Dylan. But it definitely changes their sound for sure. But I just find that to be interesting, how they actually kind of went and did it behind their backs, and it still worked out. So we will actually stop this video here and move on with our last video of this unit with psychedelic. All right, see you guys in the next video.